Hey, there you are. Like I was saying, I really need your help.
You know what I was thinking about today?
What's that?
That we're all kind of leaders. And every time I think about the fact that we're all leaders, I think, oh man, does that mean I have to lead like 1 billion people or 1 million people? 100,000, 10,000, 1,000, 100?
Not really.
The answer is no. Because I don't have to lead that many people when God gave us small tribes. So sometimes there are people that are called to lead huge, big tribes, like tribes so big it's hard to even imagine what they would look like if they gathered in one area. And then sometimes God gives us a tribe that's small enough to fit into a little versa.
I can see that.
And that's fine. It's not necessarily how big your tribe is, it's how good you are a leader. God treats the leader of 1 billion people and the leader of 5 the same. Because in the end, you're still leading, and you're either leading well or you're not leading good. So it's pretty much that.
That's really good. That's a great way to look at it.
The thing about being a leader is there are so many leaders in the Bible. And when you think about leaders, you think about like, oh my goodness, Jesus was a great leader. John was a great leader. There are so many great leaders. But what about the leaders who were scared to lead? Or the leaders who didn't really speak well? Or the leaders who felt like maybe I wouldn't receive the trust of the people I'm trying to lead just due to where I come from, my background.
I can see that.
I find a lot of that in a person like Moses.
Yeah. That definitely makes a lot of sense.
Moses was someone who was called to be a leader, and when he was called to be a leader, he flat out was like, I don't want to do that. I don't think you want me to lead. Leading does not make sense for me at all. And God was like, no, Moses, I'm talking about you. I want you to be the one to lead. And then Moses is like, God, but I don't even talk well. I'm not a good speaker. Like, you could pick my brother. There's other people to pick. Just don't pick me. I'm not the best leader. I'm not going to do this right. God was like, no, Moses, your brother can help, but you're going to be the leader. It's you. And even despite that Moses was not raised like the other Israelites, he wasn't raised up with them, God said, Moses, you're the one.
Yeah, God has a unique way in choosing.
Moses reluctantly says, yes, I guess, I'll lead. It's not that he really was, seeking out to lead, but Moses was always supposed to lead. In a way, I feel like we're all always supposed to lead. And even though Moses had a leader himself, which was God, Moses was still leading people. So it's like Moses was kind of like an in-between leader. And some of us are always like in-between leaders. And then there are going to be people who are in-between leaders. Like if you think about it, an ant is leading a whole group of ants. So many ants that in the back, the ant in the very, 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 very far back can't see the ant in the front. So he's following the ant that he can see, the ant right in front of him. That's kind of how leading is. If the ant that's in front of the last ant decides to wander off or maybe stray path or do something that the lead ant's not doing, then it's going to mess up what's happening for the back ant. That's kind of how we are. We're like in between ants. Well, in between leaders. We're not ants, right?
Of course not, but we can learn a lot from an ant.
So now Moses is leading, and the thing about leading is you just have to lead. There's not really like leading training courses that are going to show you how to be the best leader, when really you just kind of got to get out there and lead, especially in Moses' situation. Moses was thrust into a situation where he didn't have time to go to a training course. He didn't have time for someone to teach him how to be the best leader he could be. He just kind of had to jump into it. And in a lot of ways, that's how most of the great leaders are. They're kind of learning on the go. Because even when you know, even when you've been trained, even when you've learned from the best, you're still going to have to learn on the go. Because every situation changes and people are different, and everybody doesn't have the same people, the same demographics, the same thinkers. People think differently based on where they're from or who they grew up around. So leading people is never really going to just be always smack the same.
I can see that.
It's like if I play basketball and me and my guys, we practice and I practice to lead them, but we're not playing against anyone. By the time we're actually playing against someone, they're not going to be really fully prepared unless I have to learn on the go. And even when we practice against people, it's not like we're always going to be playing against the same people. And people are going to have different physical attributes and different mental attributes. They're going to have different, acumen to the game. So I have to be able to learn on the go to help my people learn on the go. Anyway, back to Moses.
Are you going to eat?
Moses was now leading the people of Israel, and he's now going up to Pharaoh, which is a scary thing to do. And he's saying, hey Pharaoh, you need to let my people go. And if you don't know who his people were, it's the Israelites. And what he meant by let go was telling the Egyptians to free them from slavery.
That story speaks a lot to today.
Now, they were in a very rough predicament where they were being beaten, whipped very harshly. It was almost like their life didn't matter at all to the Egyptians. If they no longer served a purpose or messed up their instruction or didn't do exactly how they were asked to do what they were supposed to do, they were beaten and they could be killed because they really didn't matter to them. And that's a horrible way to grow up living life, thinking that you don't matter to anyone.
Exactly. I agree.
So what Moses did was go right up to Pharaoh and say, hey, God said it's time to let my people go. Pharaoh was not having that. Pharaoh wanted to keep his slaves very much and did not like the idea of potentially not having slaves anymore. So Pharaoh and Moses have a back and forth where Pharaoh says, let my people go. Moses says, let my people go. Pharaoh's like, no. And then God sends a plague. And that goes on for a couple chapters in Exodus. Like, you would think after the plagues start to happen, you'd be like, okay, maybe I can just let them go. This is becoming kind of weird, kind of dangerous. But no, Pharaoh does not want to give up his slaves, at all. And so then it comes to the point where Moses is saying, all right, if you don't give them up, it'll be the death of the firstborns. Pharaoh's like, no, I'm not giving them up. Sorry.
That's ridiculous.
So what happens is God says, hey Moses, get all the people and tell them to mark the door and I'll pass over them. And that's where we get Passover from.
Got it.
So, true to fashion, Pharaoh didn't listen. Firstborns died. He says, all right, go, just leave, get out of here. I don't want any more chaos, just go.
He should let them go earlier.
And now the Egyptians just kind of let the Israelites go, or so they say.
That is crazy.
Pharaoh kind of takes back his word and he says, you know what, I'm going to get the Israelites and I'm going to make them come back and I'm going to make them serve me. And so you know what?
I would have ran.
The Israelites run. The Israelites run and they run hard and they run fast, and now they're at a body of water. And it's like, okay, what's going to happen here? This is crazy. So you know what God does?
What's that?
He tells Moses, go ahead, take your stick, hit it on the water. And what happens is the water separates. And in like this crazy, epic, beautiful movie scene like fashion, the Israelites run through on dry ground where there was once a huge body of water. And as they're running and running and running and running, the Egyptians are on their tail, and just as the last Israelite gets through, what happens is the water crashes down because God was protecting them. And that is a $1 million movie scene if we were to watch it through like the eyes of like Michael Bay or something like that. But
yeah, that'd be a really good movie.
It was crazy. And all that happened because Moses was willing to follow God and listen to him and lead. And it's not like God needs us to lead. God could get anybody. God could even like make a camel speak if he wanted to and lead the people. But God, for whatever reason, chooses the people he chooses because he knows who's going to be a good leader.
Yeah, that's some good stuff.
And so you would think after all that, it's like, okay, Moses hangs the jersey up in the rafter, gets his Hall of Fame speech, and it's all like a great career. But for some people, no, there's more. Some people don't just get to win their rings and sit down so easily after 2 or 3 attempts. Some people have a long career. Some people go 20 years. And Moses is one of them. Way longer than 20 years though.
Wow.
And what happened is Moses is leading the people of Israel after they've finally gotten free, and it's some more learning on the go because now Moses is faced with more problems that he didn't have, because back then he was under somebody and the Pharaoh was kind of like, being a dictator, I guess you could say, to them. But now it's, Moses is leading these people outright, and he's got to lead. And that comes with people asking you questions and people presenting you with quarrels and people presenting you with things you never thought you were going to have to deal with that now you got to deal with, man. So Moses is dealing with all this new pressure of solving disputes and figuring out who's actually a good helper, and dealing with people not wanting to listen to him, and dealing with people not wanting to listen to God, and dealing with people worshiping other idols in the presence of God. And so he's dealing with a lot. So he has to learn on the go yet again.
That had to be hard.
There's like so much to Moses that could help us, but one thing is, we're all leaders.
Okay, I get it. I'm a leader.
And even though sometimes it doesn't seem like we should be leading or we even want to lead, if we do, we may just have God help us. We may just, reach our staff out and split the water and run through, because God knows what he's doing, and when he wants you to lead, he wants you to lead. Sometimes you just gotta trust and believe. And sometimes you gotta believe in yourself, because you may know what you're supposed to do, but other people won't believe in you, and you may know this is who you are, and other people just won't believe in you, but you trust in yourself, trust in God first, trust in yourself, and who knows, maybe you could be a great leader.
Hey man, I really appreciate your help. It's been really good talking to you. This has really helped me on my journey, and great principles. I got it. All right, see you, man.